Welcome in to the Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast, the only podcast that is always, I mean always, he means always, they mean always, you mean always, she means always, an instant classic.
Danny Dunn! Hi, Jake.
We'll see you on the flippity dippity. Oh yeah.
Okay, what is going on, everybody? This is your boy Juggernaut 097, and I am back with another episode of Juggernaut Retro Reviews, and I am continuing with my Backlash reviews, and on this episode, we are reviewing Backlash 2004. But before we get started with this review, go follow me on all my social media platforms. You can go in the description down below. And you guys can follow me, on Twitter, Instagram. Follow the podcast, Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast. Also, go follow the TheAverageGamers podcast on YouTube. And their Instagram and their Twitter. All that stuff is down below. Okay, so now that we've got all plugged out the way, let's go ahead and get started with this review. So, Backlash 2004. The show was held on April 18th, 2004. From Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And the attendance for the show was 13,000, and the buy rate for the show was 295,000. And I thought this was a really great show. I mean, all these Backlashes I have watched from like 99 to 2004 have been great shows. Like, they have been really good. Like, Backlash has always been one of my favorite, like, B-level pay-per-views. And, like, a lot of these rematches happen from, like, WrestleMania stuff, but they have been good to great here. And I think this is one of the best main event matches I ever saw on a Backlash pay-per-view between between Triple H and Michaels. That's a great match. That's one of the best Backlash matches I've ever seen. But let's go ahead and get started with this review. And also, this was a Raw exclusive pay-per-view. At this time they were doing Raw pay-per-views, and then they were doing SmackDown pay-per-views. So yeah, this was a Raw exclusive pay-per-view here. So the first match that opened up the show was Shelton Benjamin going up against Ric Flair. I thought this was a decent match. So Shelton Benjamin, he got drafted to Raw, early in 2004. And, they're saying that he's going to be like the next big thing. He's going to be a great star over here on Raw. And he ends up beating Triple H, like, on his, like, first night over here on Raw or something like that. Like, gets a roll-up on him. And then he beats Triple H again. I think he beats him 3 consecutive times, if I'm not mistaken, on Raw. So I felt like that should have been the match that was happening here. They could have ran that match back, and then they just could do a one-on-one match at between Benoit and Michaels, because that would have been great. But no, instead we got Benjamin and Ric Flair here. This wasn't a bad match. Ric Flair was giving Shelton Benjamin the rub here. It was a decent match. Shelton Benjamin looked great. I mean, Ric Flair, he was looking good for the age that he was. He still did pretty good. I mean, not as good as he did like 20 years before, but I mean, he still was looking decent. He could still work in the ring. But yeah, Shelton Benjamin ended up getting the rub over Ric Flair when he hit a clothesline off the top rope, which was quite interesting. Like, the ending was like very weird when, like, Ric Flair, he was going for some brass knuckles, but the brass knuckles, like, commentary even mentioned it, like, the brass knuckles got knocked away, and they're like, should, like, the referee disqualify him? And then Shelton Benjamin did his clothesline off the top rope to get the 1, 2, 3. So Shelton Benjamin won this match. So I thought it was a decent opener here. And then the next match we had was Jonathan Coachman and going up against T.A.G. And, Jonathan Coachman, he's never been, he's never been a wrestler. He's more of a, a commentator first. But, I kind of like what Jonathan Coachman was doing here, like, in this whole, like, storyline. He was trying to be, like, one of the guys in the back. He's trying to hang out with the wrestlers in the back. So he, like, walks into the locker room. He was like, "What's up, guys?" And then Tajiri spits green mist in his face. So yeah, I thought this was a fun little storyline. I don't remember much of it, but yeah, Jonathan Coachman did end up winning this match. I mean, it was a decent match. Tajiri was doing nice stuff, you know, nice combos with his kicks. You know, he even did the tarantula in the match. So I thought it was good. But at the end, Garrison Cade, or AKA Lance Cade, came out to help Jonathan Coachman get the win here. So yeah, it was kind of a whatever match. And a lot of these like undercard matches, like out of your main event matches, these kind of were like really short matches. Like I said, like that was the case here on Raw, but on SmackDown, it was the other hand, like you had great undercard matches, like good long undercard matches, and you had good main events and stuff. But yeah, here on Raw is just like they kept it short and sweet with these undercard matches. And then the next match we had was a handicap match. We had Chris Jericho going up against Christian and Trish Stratus. So, if I'm remembering correctly, so the whole storyline here was Christian and Chris Jericho, they made a bet. Who can have sex with who first? Like, Trish Stratus, if Jericho could have sex with Trish Stratus, or if Christian could have sex with Lita first. And then, you know, they had that whole match between Christian and Chris Jericho at Mania. And Trish remembered that, oh, this was over a bet. So she turned on Jericho at Mania and became allies with Christian. And, you know, they became like a couple then. And this is where Jericho, you know, really did his face turn here at Mania. I thought it was all right stuff here. The feud really never really became like something like, never lifted off like to be something great. And you know, the crowd was calling Trish a hoe and stuff, which I don't really think she's a hoe, but like, I mean, the way she dresses is a little bit, you know, hoe-ish, hoe-like. But like, I don't really think she was a hoe and stuff. And like, but the promos that they were doing, like with Jericho and Trish, were pretty good. Even some of the highlight reels that they were doing, so I thought that was, you know, pretty good TV and stuff. But Jericho did end up winning the match. You know, usually when you have two heels going up against a face, usually, you know, the face usually wins here. But yeah, Jericho did end up winning by Enziguri. It was a decent match. I just wish this feud like would have went to something more. You know, I mean, Christian, you know, he had this injury in that steel cage match that they did like on Raw. And then when Christian came back, you know, like I said, it never really became anything. And of course, they had that big ladder match, which that's where Jericho got injured, and that really hurt Jericho a lot. But I don't know. I just wish this would have became something else, because it could have been a pretty good feud. It could have been really good if they would have booked it right. And then the next match we had was the WWE Women's Championship on the line. We had the champion Victoria going up against Lita. I think this is like Lita's first match since like Mania 18, ever since she came back from her like neck injury. Yeah, these girls did not mesh very well together. It wasn't a very good match at all. Victoria, she was looking good. I like how Victoria was looking. But Victoria did end up retaining the championship. I mean, Gail Kim and Molly Holly came out and like beat down both women, and like I said, this match really didn't become anything. It wasn't a very good match. Both women were kind of like, it was kind of very sloppy and stuff. Oh yeah, I wasn't a big fan of this match at all. And then the next match we had was a hardcore match for the WWE Intercontinental Championship, and the rest of Evolution was banned from ringside. So Ric Flair and Batista and Triple H, you know, they were banned from ringside. yeah, so Randy Orton, he was the Intercontinental Champion going up against Cactus Jack. This was a great match. Like, this was one of your better matches on the show, and they got a really good time. And, Cactus Jack, he was supposed to be, retired because, it was at WrestleMania 2000 where he lost, Triple H and stuff, and, he's supposed to retire there. But, Mick Foley he wanted to put over Randy Orton. Like, there were so many guys that wanted to put him over that thought, oh, this guy's gonna be a future star, which people were right. Randy Orton was a future star. He's went on to do some great things, and this was like I said, this was a great match here. A very brutal match. You had a barbed wire bat that Mick Foley brought out. Randy Orton was bleeding a lot during this match. You even had like plywood with like barbed wire on it. Mick Foley got slammed into that, like a power slam into that. You had like a lot of trash. You had some trash can stuff going on. You even had Eric Bischoff coming out. Like Mick Foley was about to light this barbed wire bat on fire, but Eric Bischoff says, "Hey, if you light that on fire, then I'm gonna have to call like the fire department or fire marshal, whatever, and we're gonna have to shut down the show." Which, yeah, they didn't light the Mick Foley didn't light the bat on fire. I really like the spot with the thumbtacks when Randy Orton, he was getting ready to do an RKO through some thumbtacks on the Mick Foley, but Mick Foley reversed it, which I was loving the way Randy Orton was selling that thumbtack spot. This looked really brutal. It looked really bad. I even liked the spot where like they had this big box but like beneath the stage and stuff, and Randy Orton got thrown off the stage like into that big box set. I thought that was pretty cool, and even the elbow drop off the stage that Mick Foley did, it was good. But Randy Orton did end up winning this match, like when Mick Foley, he had on the Mandible Claw, but Randy Orton reversed it into an RKO then. And then he had to hit another RKO onto like the barbed wire bat. I mean, that spot didn't come off like the greatest, but I mean, yeah, that ending spot wasn't like the most greatest, but I mean, it was all right for what it was. Randy Orton won, and Mick Foley really gave Randy Orton that big rub here, and it was for the IC title, so I mean, it was good stuff that was going on here. But yeah, this kind of really messed up both guys a little bit. I mean, Mick Foley, I don't know how he took so much damage, throughout his career and stuff. And he really trimmed up a lot. Like, he lost a lot of weight for this match in particular. I kind of wish this would have been the match instead of the, I wish this match would have happened at WrestleMania rather than the Rock and Sock connection going up against Evolution. But hey, that's what WWE wanted to go with, so I mean, you can't really change the past. And then the next match we had was the Hurricane and Rosie going up against La Resistance, Robert Conway and Sylvia Griner. I think I said that name right. La Resistance, I was never a big fan of them. They were your typical WWE tag team that wasn't that good. Yeah, like I said, I wasn't a big fan of this match here. Which Rosie, his nickname standing for was shit, superhero in training. Hurricane and Rosie did end up winning the match, and even Eugene got involved. Like, he was doing some weird stuff on the show. Eugene was. I was never a fan of Eugene. I did not like him at all. Sorry, I'm getting a whole bunch of messages right now, but yeah, I just never been a big fan of Eugene at all. He started running the ropes during the match, and like, yeah, enough talking about this match. I'm done with this match here. And then the next match we had was Edge going up against Kane. So Edge, he just recently returned after it was after Mania, And like he was spearing so many people, like he was spearing people like it's a stunner, basically. And Edge, he had a broken arm, and Johnny Nitro was saying, "Hey, if you use your cast as a weapon at the pay-per-view, then you'll be disqualified." And at this time Kane was unmasked and stuff, and yeah, this wasn't a very good match at all. I wasn't really a big fan of this match. Kane, he was just looking really stale at this point. Even with the mask off, he was looking really stale. Edge, he even did use his cast as a weapon when the referee got, basically knocked out of the ring. And then Edge hit the spear, and then the referee came back and get the 1, 2, 3 over Kane, so Edge won the match. Yeah, like I said, wasn't a big fan of this, and I don't think the fans were either. Okay, so now we have the triple threat match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Chris Benoit is defending the title against Shawn Michaels versus Triple H. So this is a rematch from WrestleMania 20. What WWE was saying, oh, this was, the greatest WrestleMania main event match of all times, which it was a great match. It was good, I mean, we had that beef between Shawn Michaels and Triple H, those two guys, they were feuding a lot. The crowd really hated Shawn Michaels here, and they did not like Triple H, calling Triple H an asshole. They were even saying that Shawn Michaels screwed Brett and all that. Of course, the show was in Edmonton, like I said. And even when Benoit was making his entrance, they were saying he's from Atlanta, Georgia. Like what? Like, I knew that he was living in Atlanta, but even some of the fans turned on Benoit a little bit here. But no, I thought this was a really good match. Everybody worked really, really well together. Like I said, a lot of the fans, they were just tormenting, Shawn Michaels and Triple H during this match, yelling at him a lot. Benoit got the great, welcoming home, kind of here, like a very good reaction from the crowd and stuff. I mean, there were some fans that were booing Benoit. But it's really unfortunate, what happened with him. Like, I don't take his wrestling build away, on what happened to him. With him, what he did to his family and stuff. Like, he's still a great wrestler. He was a great wrestler. And if he never did that to his family, he would probably maybe still be wrestling to this day. Possibly, most likely. It's kind of crazy to think about, because, you had Mick Foley on this show, which Mick Foley, he's done he's took a lot of damage also, which is crazy. He's probably had a lot of brain damage, a lot of brain trauma or like CTE stuff with Mick Foley's brain. So, but Mick Foley, he knew when to put it up, and, Chris Benoit, everything that happened with him, of course. But no, this was, besides all of that stuff what happened with Benoit, this was a great match here. I really enjoyed it. You had, Michaels tap out because, he didn't want Triple H. He just didn't want Triple H to get the title back. He wanted to stay as far away from Triple H as possible. And, of course, that led to the match between Shawn Michaels and Triple H at Bad Blood a few months later in 2004. Which that's a great Hell in a Cell match there. But yeah, that was my Backlash 2004 review. I thought it was a really good show. I definitely recommend checking it out if you haven't already. My next Backlash that I will reviewing is the 2005 review, so stay tuned for that. That's going to be happening maybe on Friday. I'll do that review for you guys, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, this is your boy Juggernaut saying peace out, and I will catch you guys in my next video.